and we'll let them sit down there. That was so inspiring, wasn't it? I think Paris was selling us pretty hard, the idea that we should be going to Paris, but I must say it's pretty tempting to go all 5 places with Walk21. I'm running out of years with all the plans of great places that we go to. You make it look so easy, and it feels as though you've all had a sneak preview of Sky Duncan's Global City Design Guide, because you seem to all be doing it already. It's really great, and thank you for sharing your stories. I think we only got about 10 minutes or so of questions, but I wanted to lead off with at least one, which seems to be a recurring thing that comes up in all of your presentations. That you are clearly experts in knowing how to make things happen, and alongside you to make these things work, you obviously have politicians that you work with who support your initiatives. The question that we keep getting at Walk21, and we've heard over these last few days repeatedly, is about what you talked about, Lucas, about revolution or evolution. How you take the community with you. You know, there's some quite bold things that you're doing here about taking away the pavement parking, of changing street design. I can imagine in Guangzhou it's always popular to make it greener and nicer, but there's always a cost potentially to the traffic. How do you take the community with you? The people that are likely to benefit most at the end sometimes are the people who complain the most just because it's change. Any comments? Would you like to say something first, or so it's a question about community and bringing the community with you. Do you want to say something, Alexander, first, maybe, or okay?
Yes, in Paris, we lead some radical changes. Closing a motorway is difficult. I don't know if you heard. And for me, the main difficulty comes from technical administration, in fact, because, as you say, there is an effect, a provision of traffic difficulties and jams, etc. And in fact, the project has been conducted by a big wish of the politicians, of the mayor, and the help of the inhabitants, of the citizens, which were very pushing for this measure. But we had some difficulties because our studies of traffic expectation of difficulties in some other areas could be difficult to conduct this thing, and the citizens and the politician had the wish to progress.
So it's okay for the politician to just make it happen. In Guangzhou?
对，我想介绍一下，在广州，其实牺牲小汽车的出行也是非常困难的。我们一般的做法是3个，第一个呢是在原来的这个人行道和绿化带里面新开辟出一条自行车道。第二个呢是我们在那个新的市政工程里面，所有的市政工程就包括修水利啊、修道路的新修的时候，直接把它放进新的市政工程里面。第三个，我们在未来规划里面呢，就是要求新建的道路两边必须有单车道和人行步道。
Yes, it's quite difficult to move the space from the social traffic. And for Guangzhou, we have actually 3 solutions. The first is like for the existing road, and we take some space for the cycle lane. We take some space from the sidewalk or the greeneries. And for the some road, we are planning to build the construction soon, and we integrate the bike lane into that project. And for the road, we are in the planning stage, and we definitely need to put the sidewalk and the continuous bike lanes inside.
And in Krakow, does everybody like being told not to park anymore outside their houses?
Of course not. But I think there are two main issues. First of all, people are tired of the trips by car and of cars in the public space, right? So we used the situation that people are tired of, and we talk with them. And first, we have some revolutions because 2 or 3 years ago we had like 1 year debate about the first ring, which was completely car-oriented around the UNESCO heritage, and people could not even imagine that it will be without cars, right? But after 1 year debate, after conversation from newspaper to newspaper, debates, public debates, we are talking and talking and talking. I was laughing that even if we didn't convince everybody, they just said, "Okay, you are talking too much. Just do it, and yeah, you can do it."
Great.
And
So you bored them to death.
yeah, we changed the first ring road, which is right now just one lane, public transport oriented and cycling. And people come back to the street and see that it's more silent, it's less pollution in the city, it's really nicer to be there. So that's why we use that we can show this or this solution, right?
So now are streets coming? Do communities now come to you and say, "Why do you do it here, not with us?"
Unfortunately, yeah, it's the truth. It's the truth. It opened minds. Yes, people are asking. We want the same. It also show. Because the counter arguments were, no, this traffic will be somewhere else, it will be a disaster for the city, for the second ring road. It's not a disaster, it wasn't a disaster. We look at this, it's not a problem from the traffic point of view. So these are strong arguments. You see, we can change other districts. And that's the main issue. But other issue with the walkability is, because you asked about politicians. In developing countries, in cities like Krakow, we won't be in close future like, I don't know, Hong Kong, London, and so on. Politicians need a success, right? So if we talk about cycling, the Copenhagen and Amsterdam is like, in the space, yes, right now for us. Right? But in the scope of walking, to be the best, yes, to have, and be best in walking is the high quality of life. So it's a success story, and on the other hand is a high quality. So, in my opinion, it's a strong argument for politicians to implement walkability.
I like the idea that you're going to be the best. I guess everybody has to be the best they can be. Otherwise, if we're all out competing each other as the best in the world or something, then we're all going to just explode, I think. But certainly everyone will be walking, which is brilliant. We're almost out of time, but I wanted to make sure that we get Singapore to give us a view of how easy it was to implement these things. Were the community supportive of all your initiatives? You're doing so many great things there.
It wasn't easy for Singapore. I should say it isn't easy. But what we tried to do, which is a change from what we used to do last time, a lot of talking and talking and talking. We've been trying to do small pilots or small experiments, and like I was alluding to in the presentation, show people that it becomes a better place locally, a more livable area, and we found that people naturally wanted more of those. Not necessarily where they stay, but I think slowly they're beginning to see that, hey, the city center can be more than just a place where I work, can be a place where I can enjoy myself. And we've had some quarters now coming to ask us and say that, hey, can we do that in where I live, in my neighborhood? And I think that's important to get that ground out swelling, because people really want ownership. We found that they may not really know what they want. I mean, our people in all countries are very well traveled in this age. They see a lot of things. People talk about, wow, I can cycle so comfortably in Copenhagen because the weather is cool, and it's not possible in Singapore because it's 90% or 80% humidity and it's raining or very hot. But hey, in winter in Copenhagen, it's really, really cold.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So we talked about just now about the excuse of weather for cycling.
There's always excuses.
There's always
Yeah,
excuses. And we've had people who tried it. So we've also gone out and gotten positive stories. And we've had people tell us, oh, I cycled to work today and I just realized my office has had a shower facility for the longest time.
Great.
So they cycle to work and then they shower. They realize that there is a solution. There is a way around it.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Let me just pass back to Berlin, a city that's broke, and yet they're still coming up with new ideas. Do you think you have to have the community behind you to make that work?
Yeah, definitely. As I showed in one of my slides, there is also huge disparities, right? And we have communities which are super involved, and these are the most walkable communities. And those which are more isolated, they don't participate so much. So I would call it like a social conundrum. We don't know how to get their attention, and they're living through, from the public health perspective, is a normalization. They're used to car dependency. They don't see it as a huge problem. So I think that's the angle to tackle, maybe to create more awareness that being isolated, not going out there, participating, is actually against their own health status. So I think that that would be a way, a mechanism to get them involved.
To engage, great.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you've been inspired by these 5 cities, then come and speak to them individually or collectively. I'm sorry we've run out of time, but that's the trouble with inspiration. There's just not enough time to suck it all in. So thank you very much once again. Thank you, all of you.